Let's be real. Substitute teaching can feel like you are just being thrown into the wolves. But guess what? You don't have to just survive the day, you can own the day. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down how you can show your confidence in the classroom so that way you can be the best substitute teacher that you can be. So the first one is always come prepared. Now, this could be something as little as just bring pencils and pencils, pens, papers. You can bring extra activities for whatever grade you will be in. It could be anything like that. You don't need anything like super extraordinarily out there. One thing that I love to bring is a clipboard because I absolutely love putting the rosters on there when I get them so I can take the attendance very easily, and also I can put the lesson plan there because if you're anything like me, somehow you lose the lesson plan on the desk and all of your stuff and you're like, where did it go? And the kids are coming in and you're just like, oh my gosh. But just having that clipboard really, really helps. So just coming prepared and being there like on time. And I don't mean being there like 5 minutes before the time. Try to get there at least 15 minutes early so that one, you can find the bathroom. Two, if you don't know where the heck you're going, you can ask and you can walk around, and also to find the bathrooms too. You know, I already said go to the bathroom, but if you can't find the bathroom, then ask. Once you're reading the lesson plans, you can ask a neighboring teacher, or if you need to go to the principals to ask them a question or call down to the principal, the office, whatever, then you have the time to do it before the students get there. And it just also gives you a moment to read the lesson plan and then just to breathe before the students come in the room. Dress the part. Now, you don't want to be dressing frumpy. I'm very frumpy right now, unless you're like in phys ed class, but my suggestion is just dress professionally, dress nice. You don't have to dress in like a beautiful dress and like high heels. We don't really want that. You can dress in a dress, but like high heels aren't appropriate mainly because you're going to be on your feet like all day. And especially if you get oh my gosh, you have to get coverage for physical education and you're in high heels. Yeah, I think you already know how that day will go down. If you're in physical education, you are allowed to dress like a physical education teacher. You can wear your workout leggings. You can wear your workout shorts. Just make sure everything's appropriate. Don't have your stomach hanging out and like, right. But you can wear a sports bra, t-shirts, stuff like that. Start strong. What I mean by this is more, I think what I want to say here is like, fake it till you make it. So it might be your first day subbing. It might be your 100th day, but you just feel like you're not getting it. Fake it till you make it, right? You probably have seen those substitute teachers when you were in school and remember like they yelled at the students all the time for breathing, having your hands not on the table. I don't know. Just be a kind person. Show the kids that you're safe. You're a safe place to be and you're excited to be there for the day. You don't have to start off so nervous that you're mean. Also, just have your common sense and use the lesson plans and use the rosters and know you'll make mistakes. You're only human, and move on. Use a clear and a calm voice. I know I just said this with the being strong, but it's true. Of course, with the students, you will be firm. You will need to be firm because they like to post boundaries. Cannot talk today. They really like to test your boundaries, and that's fine. But you don't want to excel to the yelling level because then it seems threatening to students, especially if you're like in younger grades. But when you use a calm voice, it de-escalates the situation or just keeps the situation like at bay. Whatever it is, I mean, it could be cell phones, it could be them just talking out loud, or maybe they're on their computer, not on the website they're supposed to be on, something along those lines. You can say to them, okay, it is time to work. It's time to focus. Get on the website you're supposed to be on. I'm going to be walking around and checking. Versus, I told you not to be on that. I told you 3 times. Like, there's a huge difference. And I know that you know that. And right now, my cat just jumped when I did that. So you know that a child would jump if you started talking to them like that. So just keep that in mind. Familiarize with the school. I said that in the beginning. You want to show up early to the school to make sure that you know where you're going. And my thing is, I want to know where the bathroom is and where the teaching lounge is, so that because I like to eat in the teaching lounge. Not everybody does, and that's okay. Where's the office? Where is the exits for if we have a fire drill? Stuff like that. The auditorium, you need to know those things. You can ask for a map, of course, but when you get time, just try to walk around the school if you can, just to get familiar with it. I worked at the school that I went to, and what was weird for me is I felt like I didn't know the place. I was like, what the heck? But then a teacher of mine was like, well, Alexa, like, when you were here, you had your schedule, so you had your routes. And I was like, that's very true. So for me, I had to familiarize myself outside of my schedule, which was like years ago. But yeah, just to familiarize yourself so that way you know where you're going. Have a classroom management plan. Now, you do not need to be an expert in this. And no, you don't technically have to have a class management plan, but I will tell you that it will save your butt. These kids these days are a different breed of a human. They're difficult. They can be rude. I don't know another way to put it, but if you have some type of plan in place for yourself, you will feel very confident and successful. And even like a disclaimer, it might not work day one for you, and that's okay. Class management takes time. I have a bunch of class management tips that you can go through on my class management playlist, but I will say that it's difficult. It's not just difficult for you because you're a substitute. It's difficult for the teachers. Teachers try this all the time, the rules and stuff, setting expectations. So if you have something in place, like for example, you have incentives, okay? Maybe you have a star of the day, and you pick someone at the end of the day who did very well for you, or you have stickers, or you just say to the students, middle school, high school students, okay, this is your work for the day. You tell them, and then you say, I'm going to be around the room while you guys are working, but make sure you show me your work. When you show me your work, I will write your name off saying that you did it. And that, to me, that was really a successful thing for me and classroom management, because they didn't want to be that student who didn't complete their work. And I kind of told a white lie that their teacher told me to do that, which really wasn't the case, but it helped. So there's a bunch of tips that you can do. It doesn't have to be those. It can be anything. YouTube it. Look at my classroom management playlist to help you there. But having at least one thing will help you thrive. Be adaptable. In this job, as a substitute teacher, you will need to be adaptable. There will be times when things change. You will get the bait and switch and bait and switch, I think it is. And you will have those days where you have to cover a class and you're like, I just want to break. You can be adaptable. You can have your boundaries, but you're going to have to be adaptable because it's a law that someone has to be in the room. So if you're available to do it, it's easier for you to do it, but you have your boundaries. You can pick and choose with that one. Use names. I know this is hard as a day-to-day substitute teacher, but knowing the names of the students goes a long way because they're not just a thing. They're not just, hey, you with the curly hair. Hey, you with the brown eyes and the curly hair. Hey, you, the kid that's standing. Hey, you, the kid, the really tall blonde kid. Like, use their names. And if you forget, just ask them their name again. Studies show that when you use their name, even as a substitute teacher, they are more willing to listen to you. The next time they have you, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I love her because she remembered my name. And for some reason, that goes a long way. Goes a long way. So just try. You don't have to be like the most memorable person ever, meaning like you have to know all 25 kids. No, you don't. And still to this day, I see students and I'm like, I had you in class as a long-term sub. I should know your name. And they still have to tell me. So names don't come easy. It's just, and a tip for that is like, if you have elementary school students and you're like, okay, I need a paper passer, and it's Olivia. Say, Olivia, do you mind passing out these papers to your friends? And okay guys, Olivia is going to pass the papers out to you guys. Thank you so much, Olivia. When you say their names a couple times, you remember it. And then like, I always do like physical features of their faces and stuff and remember them based on that. At least I try to. And the last one I have for you is reflect and go. So reflect and go, meaning you're going to have the amazing day. You are going to have the most terrible day that you think that you need to move to Mars and never come back. You're so embarrassed. And believe me, I've had those days. What I did was I kept a journal, and I didn't do it for very long, but I will say it was helpful in the beginning when I first started substitute teaching, as I wrote down like the day, what class I was in, and I would write like what went well and what didn't. And then I also would write name, like I didn't take this journal out of my backpack because I wanted it to be confidential. Like this was just for me. And I would use it throughout the school year. So like, for example, and no lie, I had a student and I want to say he was in 9th grade, maybe 10th grade, I don't know. But he decided to climb out the window. Luckily, it was on the first floor. So like, it was fine, but he went out the window. And that day, I couldn't remember his name. I ended up finding his name because the teachers had the rosters with their pictures on them. And I remembered his name. And so I wrote it in that journal. So when the next day, I was in a completely different class looking at the roster, and that name came up, and I was like, that's a familiar name. Why is that a familiar name? Oh, that's the kid who was really bad for me in that business class who went out the window. So that I was able to like learn names that way, for one, and I was also able to just be like, okay, I can write this name down, so when I see them next, I can prepare myself for them in some sort of way. I don't know how, but that happened. And it was easy to reflect. If it was a great day, it was like, hey, today was a great day. I felt like I had a lot of confidence in myself. I was able to stand there and like be firm with the students, and like stay firm to what the expectations were or whatnot. Or I had a day where I had a 3rd grade class, and I'm not really a fan of elementary school, and that's just myself. That's just my preference. And I literally had a student, I have it on my horror story thing. I'll put right here, you can watch it. But I was locked out of the room. I was called a bitch and like a bunch of things. And when they locked me out of the room, they were going through my wallet. Like things were just bad. And I was embarrassed and I almost walked out, but I was like, I want to do this. I want to be a teacher, so I'm just not going to walk out and be professional. And I took that, and when I wrote everything down, I did like a problem and a solution. So like, here was the problem, here's how I could have handled it. So if I run into this problem again, or this classroom, this is how I will handle it. Plus, using the teachers. If you are having a conversation with a teacher and you're like, hey, can I ask you a question? How would you handle this situation? You know, just picking their brain. Guys, I really hope that you have the confidence or I want you to know that you are a really good substitute teacher. I know at times it's a very challenging job, and one where we feel like we need to run out of here and never come back. And then there's other days where you're praised and you feel like you are the best substitute teacher that ever happened to the school and school district. But know that you are valued. Go to the schools that you are valued at. Be confident in yourself, because you are a difference maker. And I'll see you in the next video.